Hello, everyone, and welcome. Can you all hear me well? Yes, can you hear me? Great. So, welcome to today's session. We are going to wait perhaps a couple of minutes for some people that are arriving a bit late. If you can, ideally, we want to keep our microphones mute just for any noise that might come through. So I'm going to keep muting you all, and we keep it that way until we have an opportunity to ask any questions or anything like that. Okay. So we do have a chat in there. So can you please just in the chat box, just type there, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from which city. I know we have people from Melbourne, Victoria, Sydney, New South Wales, Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. So we have people from different parts. So introduce yourself, tell us your name, tell us where you're from. Kimberly from Brisbane, Chantel from the sunny coast, Bly, it's all sunny coast, Victoria, Mumbai. That's what's so beautiful about doing things online. You can just connect with people from everywhere. Yandina, sunny coast, Jackie, I can't pronounce that. My English is not there yet. Mary Borough. uh, Christina from Coulomb. Um, so you cannot hear, you might need to put your microphone up, okay? The level of the volume is on your side. So you need to make sure that your volume is up. You're not a dinosaur, Megan. Yeah, we are going to wait, 1 or 2 minutes, and then we get started. Okay, so in the meantime, make sure you're in a place where it's quiet, that you have a comfortable seat, because we are going to do this for a couple of hours. I'm going to be sitting here having a very interesting conversation. Okay, this is a topic that I really love. And I think today is very important to discuss these concepts to get an understanding of what this is all about, because we can hear these concepts everywhere. Everyone talks about this concept these days, and it's good for us to understand properly where they come from, because then we can make an informed decision in terms of the things that we do and the practices we implement. So a lot of people messaging me saying, sorry, my battery went flat and I'm trying to log in. So a few people are coming. We are recording this anyway, okay? And then I will share the recording online. You can take some notes if you feel like. But I will email you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the video with the recording. Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to our 2-hour workshops. workshop, Understanding Prana, Chakras, Pranayama, and Kundalini Awakening. The purpose of this workshop is to share with you from the yoga science what these concepts actually mean and where they come from. These days, these concepts are overly used everywhere, and a lot of people don't really have a full understanding of what they are or where they come from. So it's good for us to understand them, because then we can make an informed decision about the things that we do, the workshops that we attend, and also we can bring more awareness, to the benefits of working on some of these aspects. Okay? So this knowledge is ancient knowledge that was developed by yogis and sadhus and sages thousands of years ago, and they come from India. So from the yogi perspective, the yogis devoted their life to go deep into exploring the different realms of reality, and to go deep within themselves to discover what is beyond this material world that we seek, or what is beyond this body. So it's good to acknowledge these people, because these people that still exist, they went deep, 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 deep into meditation and all these yogi practices to experience, download this knowledge, to write about it, and then for us to enjoy it. So it's great knowledge, and it's good to have an understanding of them. So then when we do the actual practice, we know what we're doing and why we're doing it. The reality is that knowing things will not change our life. So knowing these things will make zero impact in our lives. The power is in the practice. But understanding the concepts allow us to be more devoted to the practice, because the practice is what ultimately is going to impact our life. So before we start, I would like to acknowledge these teachers and sages that brought this knowledge to us. These people that went deep into meditation and did all these practices for us to have to enjoy this concept now. So if you allow me, I would like to do a quick prayer. And I will invite you to perhaps find a comfortable seat and close your eyes and bring awareness to your breath. I invite you to observe the breath. The gentle rhythm of the breath, of the air going in the nose and out the nose. So if you can, I invite you to bring your awareness into your heart, and perhaps connect with whatever's important to you in your heart. And as I do the prayer, I invite you to just stay in that space of something that is important to you, whatever that is, your family, your children, your partner, something you love. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Sri Mahaguru Namo Ya Namah. Om Sri Mahaguru Namo Ya Namah. Om Sri Mahaguru Namo Ya Namah. Palms together to the center of the heart. We acknowledge our teachers and the teachers of our teachers for passing down the knowledge of yoga, taking us away from suffering and ignorance. Deep inhale all the way in. Long exhale through the mouth. One more time in. Big exhale. Release your hands. You can open your eyes. So the whole purpose of these practices is to realize our true nature beyond the mind. That's the purpose of this, to realize our true nature beyond the mind. It's about freeing ourselves from the constriction of the mind and the suffering, because all your suffering happens inside your mind. So yoga is one of the first, or the first, personal development practice ever developed for us to advance and perfect our mind, body, and soul, and connect with the soul. And it is a spiritual practice. Yoga is a spiritual practice. Now, you don't have to be spiritual to benefit for what yoga has to offer and for what all these practices have to offer. You can be a complete skeptic, and it's absolutely fine. You will still can practice this and benefit from this work. So let's get started. Before we start, we have a disclaimer, which is very important for us to keep moving forward. Okay? So I will read it for you. And if you agree, you can keep staying in the class. If you disagree, you can leave the class. Okay? But by staying, you are agreeing with the disclaimer. So all the content that we share during this class is intended as a guidance material only and does not indicate a commitment to a particular course of action. Okay? This is just information for you to consider. But I'm not telling you that you have to go and do certain things. Okay? This class doesn't qualify participants to offer any services. All the teachings shared are to expand your understanding. Any practice should be done under supervision from qualified practitioners. This content is not to be recorded, shared, or passed on to anyone else. So it's for you to understand it, okay? But it's not for you to teach it to someone else, unless you have become a qualified practitioner, okay? Very important. This is all about keeping the safety of all of us, okay? Because this is very dangerous content. You know what I mean? These days they're being used like it's nothing, but it's actually very dangerous. Any opinions shared during this class are not medical advice and should not be relied on as health or personal advice. I'm not a health professional, so if you ask me any opinions, I can share my opinion, but I'm not a professional in that space. I'm a yoga teacher, and what we're talking here is yoga. So participants must seek the guidance of a doctor or other qualified health practitioners if you have any question regarding your health or medical condition. Okay? So if you agree with this, we can keep moving forward. Otherwise, I will invite you to leave the session. Now, let's get started. The subtle body. If I speak to you about the subtle body, what does it mean to you? What does it come to your mind when we say subtle? Subtle is kind of the opposite of gross. The gross to the subtle. So the more in terms of material things. So we all have a subtle body, right? And again, you might not believe on this, but we all believe on something that is energy, right? When you feel someone, you can feel the energy of someone. The energy is that energy that you feel when someone entered the room and changed the energy. When someone gives you a hug and you feel their energy. Or when we talk about the aura of someone, that energy that radiates. So the subtle body is your energy body. Okay? And the energy body is where all of these things that we're talking about belong. According to yoga, we have different bodies. And one of those bodies is called the energy body. And we're going to go into detail into this, okay? So the subtle body or the energy body is a whole system that is very complex. And today I'll do my best to explain it in a very simple way for you to get an idea or understanding of what the energy body is. Okay? So I was thinking about what does the science say about this? Okay. So I have some information that I found from the National Library of Medicine in the US. Okay. And this is very interesting information. This is just from them. That's what they say about prana, for example. We're here to learn about prana and all these elements. So according to them and their research and their information, they say that prana and electrons have overlapping properties in the subtle and gross domains, respectively. So when we think about energy, what is energy? Electricity, right? And electricity is just electrons. You have the atoms, and the atoms have a neutron or a nucleus. And what moves around is an electron, right? And the electron and everything in nature, everything, the rocks, even things that we think are dead, they have atoms. And the atoms have electrons. And that's what spin around. So my question to you is, what does move the electrons? And this is just my opinion, right? This comes from nowhere. I'm saying, like what does make things move? What does the electron move? And when we look about this, prana and electrons have overlapping properties. That's all he said. Now from here, I'm assuming certain things, right? But what do you think why do the electrons move? They have a negative charge. Okay, what is that negative energy? Electricity. And so prana cannot be measured yet. However, its interaction with the biosystem has been studied by Ayurveda and yoga. And that's where we come from, from the yoga studies, from the yoga science. And in yoga, the definition of death is based on the loss of prana. Prana. When you lose your prana, your energy, right, you die. That's what it says. Now, this library also said that chi, chi is the equivalent of prana in the traditional Chinese medicine. And it's claimed to be measured through instruments. And its loss has been observed at the time of death. Okay? So again, I don't know if there's any expert here. I'm not an expert in traditional Chinese medicine, but this library of medicine is saying that, when we die, has been measured that the chi goes away, which is kind of the similar of what prana might be. Okay, I just wanted to share these elements to state from outside the yoga space what is being said. So the energy body, right? The energy body is composed by prana, nadis, which is something I'm going to explain, chakras, and then we have this concept called Kundalini. What is Kundalini? And today we want to talk about that and understand what actually Kundalini is and what actually is Kundalini awakening. So prana is the vital force. It's a vital force that keeps everything together. Prana comes through the breath, in the food we eat, and without prana, there is no life. Okay, this is according to yoga. Nadis, the nadis are the channels through which prana flows. It's like the blood flows through veins and arteries. In the energy body, prana flows through nadis. What are the chakras? The chakras are the intersections of the nadis. So every time two nadis intersect, you have a chakra, which is a vortex of energy. And Kundalini, I'll talk to you about later. Okay? So the energy body is a system. And today we want to do our best to have an understanding of this system. So you can have an understanding of these concepts as well, and where do they sit, okay? So, but also the energy body is a system within other systems, right? It's not just, doesn't work by itself. And here's where yoga describes all the different bodies that we have, okay, to experience this reality. So according to yoga, we have 5 bodies, right? 5 bodies. And these bodies are called kochas. Okay, I'm going to explain that now. So our layer, and this is the way we experience reality, right? It's our physical body. You have bones, you have blood, you have organs, you have muscles, cells, your brain, all these things are the things that you can touch. That's your gross body, right? So your gross body is all these elements um, that some of us become very attached to, or we identify with this part of our body. Then it's like an onion, by the way, right? It's like the layers of our existence here. So you have your physical body, which is the outside, and then right within that, we have another body, right? Which is your energy body. So that's the second layer. And within the energy body, we have the system of prana, nadi, chakras, vayus, and granthis. And these are all these terms we're going to learn today. Okay. The energy body is your aura, right? It's the energy that is in your body. That's why we have this kind of halo of light there. Then within that, if we keep going deeper, we have something that we call the lower mind. And the lower mind is your ego, your identity, your fears, your memories, your imagination, your likes, your dislikes, your judgments, all the conditioning of the mind. That's where all your suffering lives, right? That's where all your problems happens, in that part of your body, in your lower mind. That's a body, as yoga says, So in your lower mind, everything that happened, everything happened to you, and everything you have memorized, all your studies, all the things that you are learning today, even this conversation is going to go straight into your lower mind, right? Yeah. So suffering happens here, like the mental suffering. The stress lives in your lower mind. The anxiety lives in your lower mind. Your depression lives in your lower mind. And it's all conditioned by memories, trauma that is being recorded in our mind, your imagination, your likes, your dislikes, and all of that stuff. Okay. Now, within that, there is another, body, which is also a mind body, and that's your higher mind. And in your higher mind, we have intuition, wisdom, and all your clairvoyance abilities, right? So this is very interesting because, there are two types of learnings. You have learning that come from the outside sources, like through your eyes, because you saw something, through your ears, because you heard something, through touch. So your senses, we're going to go back a little bit. Your senses are connected to your physical body. And that's how we absorb, that's how we connect with the outside world, through your eyes, through your taste, through your five senses. And these antennas are feeding information to your lower mind. And your lower mind is collecting information and making, assessment of what's going on, and analyzing things and making conclusions and judging people based on what they see, or creating different feelings in the body based on the smell. Oh, this is bad smell. Oh, make me feel bad. That's all happening in your lower mind. Okay. The higher mind receives information from somewhere else, from a deeper layer. So higher mind receive wisdom that comes in, boom. Oh, so have you ever been driving or in the forest or just having a massage, and you are relaxing there, and suddenly something come to you like a voice and said to you something, you know? That's your intuition. It's something that come through you. You didn't hear it anywhere. No one told to you. It just comes through. That's your higher mind, and the knowledge come from your through your higher mind is come from somewhere else. It doesn't come through your five senses. These days we all talk about intuition, and my intuition is guiding me here. And this day we confuse intuition with fear. And it's a big thing that's happening, especially in the spiritual world, when everyone is saying, no, my intuition here, my intuition there. But actually, that's not intuition, it's conditioning coming through fear, it's coming through the lower mind. It's very easy, it's a very fine line between fear and intuition, or to believe that you have intuition when actually is your lower mind creating an illusion. Because whatever happens through the higher mind, it will always be filtered by the lower mind. So whatever you say is going to come through the higher mind, lower mind, energy body, and through the mouth. which is your physical body. So that's why yoga give you a system to purify these different bodies. Because if your lower mind is impure, no matter how spiritual your experience is, your lower mind will, make that experience dirty in a way. And the way you're going to interpret it based on your ego and your identity is going to be corrupted. You know what I mean? Like even this conversation, even these teachings, what I'm giving you, they all come through my memory. So um, in a way, unless I am an awakened being who is enlightened, my knowledge or my teachings will always be corrupted in a way because there's still a bit of conditioning there that is affecting what I'm sharing with you. You know what I mean? So it's very important to understand that these things are very subtle in the way they work, like your higher mind and your intuition with your fears. So a lot of people think, oh yeah, it's my intuition is telling me that that person is a bad person. You sure? Like intuition comes from a different place, from love. It's more like trust. Uh, yeah. So then within that, if we keep going deeper, you have your bliss body, which is pure joy, you know? And that's the body that is the pure joy that doesn't come from outside sources, because the happiness that we define as happiness, it comes from the outside sources. And the outside sources that give you that illusion of happiness is information that we are receiving through our five senses all the time. The food is delicious and we like the food and we're so excited about the food because the food tastes so good. And some people are attached to the food, or sex is another one, sex, food, enjoyment, all these things that we do to indulge in pleasures and pleasure. So all of that is giving you an illusion of happiness. And all of that is feeding the lower mind. So that's very interesting to understand because when we have that illusion of happiness in the lower mind, that's happiness very fragile. It takes nothing for you to lose your happiness. You know what I mean? A bad smell, or to lose something, or to get a scratch in your car, or lose a family member, or, going to debt, whatever. When happiness or pure joy that comes from within is different. But it's very difficult to experience that because intellectually we might know this stuff, but to feel it is a different thing. And it happens because these days we have a lot of intellectual conversations about this stuff, and it's all come from the lower mind. That's why we say that you might know you don't need to memorize any of this stuff, really. As long as you do your practice, when you're doing your practice, that's what's going to get you there. Knowing things is just sometimes feeding your lower mind, your ego, your identity, and it's keeping you away from the pure joy that lives beyond those layers. The problem is that beyond the layer of the lower mind, which is your kind of intellect there, like the analytical mind is in your lower mind, the mind cannot comprehend what's beyond that. So if you consider yourself a very smart person, as I do myself, right? And as I did, I'm an engineer myself, so I'm highly analytical. It's very difficult to go beyond the lower mind. We get attached to it because we want to analyze everything. You know what I mean? And when we want to analyze everything, um, when we analyze everything, it will always stop us from going beyond. So it's about making that lower mind quiet. It's bringing that volume down. So when you do breathwork, for example, you go to a breathwork journey, that thing bypass that lower mind and you go in your higher mind, and that's why you have insights. But when you meditate, you receive messages. It's because when you meditate, your lower mind is quiet, and then you can see beyond, right? Now, those are your five bodies. So what is beyond the bliss body? We're going to go to that later. So yoga says that we have these bodies, and these bodies are impure. They get impurities. So your physical body get impure because the air you breathe is not pure anymore. The water is impure. the food you eat is not pure food, you eat rubbish or things like that, or you accumulate too much fat. So yoga gives us a system to purify this body. And the first one is the asana practice, the physical practice. The asana practice allows us to purify the physical body. So you can have a body that is in perfect health and perfect condition to continue your journey, your spiritual journey, right? And to have a healthy life. Then for the energy body, to purify your energy body and to master your energy body, yoga give us pranayama or breathwork, but actually it's not the same. Pranayama for this case, Pranayama is the practice that we practice to purify and to master the elements of prana, the nadis, the chakras, and all this energy stuff. From the lower mind, we also give us something, and then for your higher mind and for the bliss body. Now, there's another element here from yoga that is not described because there is no body for it, which is pratyahara. So yoga is like master your body, breathe, or do your pranayama until you achieve pratyahara, which is removal of the senses. So breath is the path, is the bridge between the gross body to the subtle body. So when you breathe and you're able to master this pratyahara, which basically is disconnect myself from my five senses, then your lower mind stop receiving inputs and you can start concentrating. So the next practice is concentration. And concentration will help you master your monkey mind, which is your lower mind. So the lower mind is the monkey mind, right? So when you practice concentration, you are nurturing, purifying your lower mind. And how do we purify our higher mind? With meditation. So that's yoga for you. Asana practice, pranayama or the breathing practices, pratyahara, concentration, meditation. If you want to go in the path of yoga, these are the 5 things we need to master. If you go just for one, you are unbalanced. So when we talk about pranayama and breathing practices, you can, if you want to do like a ninja pranayama, you want to go like deep within and like go full on into pranayama, you must do the same with all the others because otherwise your body is going to break down or otherwise your mind is going to be imbalanced. So imagine you put fuel into the fire, it's going to go out of control. So that's why we need to embrace this as a whole, not just as pranayama or breathing. A lot of people like to go breathwork and to go full into it. And I said, man, you need to go to the gym, go and do some weight first, and then come to breathwork. Do a bit of everything, or change the way you're eating, or do a bit of concentration, a bit of meditation. It's not just breathwork or pranayama. You need to do all of them to purify all your layers. Otherwise, you are going to be imbalanced, and too much of one will affect negatively all the others. Okay? So what happens if we do the practice? You do your asana, you do your pranayama, you do your concentration and meditation. And if you meditate long enough, you might be able to experience your bliss body. And in yoga, we call that samadhi. And samadhi is awakening or enlightenment, right? So samadhi is the state when we can experience that bliss body, right? And it could be temporarily, or if you do enough, you might stay there. Or you might have some moments if you meditate, you might feel that bliss, and that moment is samadhi, Now, very easy for the lower mind to think, oh yeah, I'm awakened, I've had this awakening. No, perhaps it was just something that happened with your hormones. I don't know. We don't know, really, right? Because the lower mind, if it's not pure, it will always make up things. That's why we need to do all of this. Otherwise, you do pranayama, you kind of want to do Kundalini awakening. And if your mind is not pure, you're going to go cuckoo. You know what I mean? It's straight away, cuckoo, like gone. If your body is not healthy and you do a Kundalini awakening, like with full energy, and your body is not being healthy, you're going to cook yourself, and you can die, literally. That's true. So these are your 5 bodies. And when you experience samadhi, you might get to connect with something that's beyond that. And that's that. Can you see that light there in the center? And what is that? That's your soul. And that's who you are. Right? So if you believe you have a soul, this is what yoga tells you, the system. And this is the foundation for all of it, for everything that we talk about when we talk about some pranayama, meditation. This is where it all comes from. Yoga said that you are a soul, and that soul will transcend this life. But for you to be here and to experience this life, you have been given 5 bodies. And these are the 5 bodies. And if you purify them enough and you nurture them enough, you might be able to go deeper and experience your soul through samadhi or awakening. Okay? So this is kind of the foundation of it. Understanding that we have all these different dimensions. And when we talk about prana, chakras, they belong to the energy body that are within the other bodies, right? But it's beautiful. I want to look at this. It's quite a beautiful thing. That if you believe you're a soul or you have a soul, actually, you don't have a soul. You are the soul. And your physical body is going to become old, and one day it's going to disintegrate and become food for the earth, right? But some of us become too attached to the physical body that then we think that we stop having value because we have wrinkles now, we're getting old, or we lose something, or we don't look the way we wanted to look. And we have all these attachments with the physical body, Some of us are attached to the energy body, and we want to do breathwork and feel powerful and go to the gym and have energy, energy, energy. And we think that that's all about, Some people just want to meditate, and they want to meditate forever. And it's like, I'm going in a cave and meditate. It's all of it, you know? So it's very important to have this view, to know that we're here, that life is a gift, and we have been given these different bodies to experience life. But all of that is temporarily, all of these things going to go away. However, if we do the work and we start working on all of this stuff, and we purify our body, and we purify our mind, and we purify our energy body, we might get to experience samadhi and enlightenment. I don't expect to be awakened or enlightened in this life. No, in 1,000 lives. It's not my intention, it's not my purpose. But I do practice it because it makes me feel good. And I know I become a better person by doing it. So I invite you to look at everything we are learning today as an aspiration, because we might be very far away. We might not. We might just be just ready for it. But when we make this our goal to become awakened, that's your lower mind. That's the ego that wants to achieve something. You know what I mean? That's the ego right there. So this is the foundation. Any questions, any comments about this? Put them in the chat. Is this valuable? Just right there, what you think. Is there anything that is unclear? I did cover a lot in very small amount of time. So please put it there to know if there's anything that you want me to clarify, okay? My hand is up for some reason in my screen. I'm gonna see if I can bring it down. How do I hide my, how do I name foundation book? I don't know. Let me see here. Anyway, great. No questions. Perfect. All right. So, by the way, these bodies have names, and each body has a name. I don't memorize the names. Some people really like to go deep into the details. Like, to me, it's like, I know what they are, I understand them well, but the names is secondary for me. So that's why I don't put them here, because putting the names will only confuse you more. This is already complex enough. You know what I mean? Any questions? Difference between pranayama and breathwork, just quickly here. Pranayama is breathwork, but breathwork is not pranayama. Breathwork, pranayamas, they are very ancient practices that have been developed, and they have a system behind, like a lot of work And today we're going to cover a bit of that. Breathwork is like a washed down version of pranayama. It's about bringing prana in and make some effects in the body. Pranayama is more control. Pranayama is 1,000 times more powerful than breathwork, but it's more subtle. It's more subtle. It takes longer. It doesn't entertain the mind like breathwork does. Breathwork gives you a high and experience. And we live in a world where everyone is looking for a high experience to be like, to feel it intensely. So we're looking for the experience. Pranayama will not give you that, you know? It will give you something better than that, but it will take longer and it take more discipline. You don't need any discipline to do breathwork. You go for a class, you breathe like crazy for half an hour, for an hour, and you have a massive experience. And I'm not saying it's not beneficial. It could be beneficial, but pranayama is a more sophisticated type of breathwork that in the long term will give you more guaranteed benefits. Breathwork is very dangerous as well, especially the way it's being done these days. I'm a breathwork practitioner. I offer breathwork, but I don't promote it much because it hasn't been done. I don't think it's done with the safety that requires. So when I do my own breathwork, I pretty much bring all these elements into consideration. Okay. So the pranayama kosha, that's the energy body. Prana, Narish, Chakras, Kundalini, okay, and many others. So what's prana? We spoke about prana. Prana is, we call it, is the vital force. It's the essential energy that keeps this universe together. The universe is together because of prana. If you remove the prana out of the universe disintegrates. It's like the glue. So prana is everywhere, you know, everywhere, in the rocks, in the air, in the water, in the food, in everything that is alive has prana, So for life to exist, we need two elements, prana and consciousness, The more prana a object has, the more access to the consciousness, right, has. For example, all of us, we have the same consciousness, right? There's no difference. But is the access to that consciousness is the difference, because the impurities in our bodies, because impurities in my mind. Ultimately, we all have a soul, from the yoga perspective. This is yoga, right? Ultimately, we all have a soul and we all pure beings. What makes us different are the impurities in all these different layers of existence, in all the different koshes, right? So the more prana you have, the more access you have to consciousness, right? The more access you have to consciousness. So a rock might have more consciousness than another living being. For example, if you go to India, have you been to India? I've been to India. And if you go to a meditation cave where the sadhus and the yogis and the masters have been meditating for hundreds and thousands of years, you go into that place and you feel like you levitate, because the amount of prana and energy in that place is like beyond. So that place carry a lot of consciousness because it has more prana in it, because of the practices that have been done in there, right? So prana is vital for life. And we can increase the level of prana or deplete our level of prana. We increase our level of prana by eating the right food, eating food that is alive, like pranic food, like raw vegetables. If you cut a cucumber and you eat it, that cucumber is alive, it's full of prana. If you steam that cucumber, let's make a broccoli. Steamed cucumber doesn't taste that good. You got the broccoli, you cut it, you eat it raw, full of prana. You steam it, it lost a bit of prana, but still has prana. If you cook it, it lost more prana, it still has prana. If you boil it, when it looks brown, it's almost nothing of prana there. It starts losing the prana. If you cook food and you eat it, has prana in it. If you put it in the fridge and you take it the other day, prana is gone. That's why yogis only eat food from the day. They don't save food in the fridge. If you freeze your food, if you buy frozen berries, it's no prana in it because when you freeze stuff, the prana is killed. Microwaves kill the prana. If you put things in the microwave and you warm it up in the microwave, prana is gone. And you have food with negative prana like alcohol, drugs, McDonald's, which I have sometimes, when I have indulged myself once every 6 months. I only have the fries though, once every 6 months because I like them. But yeah, there's no prana on that. When you see people that live in McDonald's, I like when I'm in Sydney right now, and I used to live here, and I remember walking in the streets, and you see these people that they're always there. They kind of live at McDonald's, and you look at their face, and they look half dead because they have no prana in the system. They're just eating McDonald's all day long. So the brain uses the most amount of prana, and your organs requires prana to function, right? Now, when there's not enough prana for the brain, we become cranky. If the brain becomes fatigued, we can't think properly. When you're hungry, you're like, oh, I have low energy, prana energy. My energy is not very good today. Prana is very low levels. I become cranky. So what you do, you eat or you breathe. You do some breathing techniques. Oh, I have energy again. You bring in more prana. So energy. People have prana. You feel them. We are born with certain level of prana, all of us. By design, we have different prana as we are born. And the amount of prana determines the strength of my character, right? Some people have like presence. When someone entering the room, that's someone walking there that everyone was kind of drawn to. That person has a lot of prana, right? If you have uncontrolled or unregulated sexual, encounters, and you have too much sex, that's going to deplete your prana as well, especially if you're men. Depletion of prana, so it's not good. Yeah. So prana, how does prana flow? Through the nadis, right? So the nadis are the channels, and these channels distribute the prana everywhere, to your brain, to your organs. And then what do we do with the excess of prana? Where is that excess? Where are the reservoirs of prana in our body? We call them chakras. So chakras are the batteries that store the prana, right? Let's say that again. Chakras are the batteries where the prana is stored. And we have different batteries in different parts of the body to feed different parts. So we have the main chakras along the spine, and each chakra is there to feed certain organs. So your heart is fed by your heart, and your lungs is fed by the heart chakra. So all the your brain is fed by your Agni or your third eye chakra. So chakras has that purpose. And then you might have some blockages, and we're going to talk about that blockages in our channels, and how pranayama allow us to purify those blockages. All right? Any questions about prana before I move on? We're good? Okay. What is pranayama? So this can be translated, by the way, prana is translated as vital force or energy. So pranayama is energy or vital force plus something. It can be translated in two ways. So different books have different interpretations of this, So we can say that it's prana and yama, or prana and ayama. So there are two ways to interpret this. We can say that pranayama could be, yama is control. We say prana, control of the prana. So it's a practice that allows us to control our vital force. Or we can say ayama and prana, and that's prana ayama. And that means expansion of the life force. But actually, they both make sense to me, at least. So pranayama is the science of yoga that allow us to control and expand our life force. So we can bring more life force into our life, which is prana. So pranayama is a technique developed by the sages and ancient yogis that is associated to the respiratory system, and involves inhalation, exhalation, and holding your breath, which actually has a name, which is kumbhaka, when you hold your breath. Ultimately, the purpose of pranayama is to master kumbhaka, which is holding your breath. The ancient yogis, the master would hold the breath for 4 hours. And it's in that process of holding your breath is when you achieve pratyahara, which is what I said before to you. We spoke about pratyahara before, right? Pratyahara is removal of the senses. If you can breathe and master your breath and master your energy body, your subtle body, and you can hold your breath in kumbhaka for a long period of time, in that process, you disconnect from your senses and you're there in the void. And there's nothing, and you kind of disappear. And in that moment, what happened? You start concentrating and you start meditating. That's why the process goes that way. And we need to do the asana practice first, then the pranayama, then we remove the senses, we withdraw the senses, and then we start concentration and meditation to lead us to samadhi. Right? Now, this is aspirational talk, okay? See it as an aspiration. I remember when I started doing breathwork, my ego was like big. It still is big, but I wasn't aware of it. And I was like holding my breath for 5.5 minutes. And I thought, wow, man, I'm the master of this stuff. Then I learned pranayama and I realized that the yogis hold the breath for 4 hours. And that brought me right back down to be humble again. Now, when I did that, I was doing breath work like Wim Hof a lot every day, and I was breathing very intense until I started having some palpitations in my heart. I couldn't sleep anymore. I could feel my heart out, and I went to the doctor, and I started having heart problems, thyroid problems, lung problems. It brought a lot of issues into my life, and I had no idea what happened. And then suddenly, one day, everything went away, and I was normal again. Many years later, I'm talking about this about 12, 13 years ago, 10 years ago, perhaps. Then when I became a yoga teacher and I learned about pranayama and I became a pranayama, teacher, I learned about all the risks of breath work and how holding your breath when you are pushing yourself too much can affect your thyroid, can affect your heart, can affect your mind, can give you lung problems and all this stuff. So after 2 or 3 years of my experience, I learned that I was making myself sick. And I could trigger some deep problems in my physiology because of the way I was holding my breath. So it's very important that you learn it properly and you learn about the risks and what applies to you before you start doing any of this stuff. Anyway, so pranayama, is this science that allow us to master the breath. So we can purify our chakras, our nadis, we can purify our energy system and bring enough energy for us to keep moving forward, in our awakening or spiritual path, or even just to increase the well-being and energy in our body. I'll talk more about pranayama a bit later. Any questions about what I said? Is this clear? Is this valuable? Please share with me because then you give me an indication of, how we're going. Am I going too fast? If any concepts that you want me to clarify, I'll be happy to spend a bit more time on this. Yeah, so pranayama, there's many techniques and for different purposes. Okay, and we are not covering any of those today because today is all about understanding what these concepts are and why do we use them. Okay, we might do a bit of breath awareness at the end, just to connect, but it's not the purpose to do any practice. Okay, so that's about pranayama. Let me check something here. Cool. So a few more things to remember. So it cleared up the nadis from energy blockages, samsaras. I will talk about this a bit later as well. So what are the nadis? We spoke about the nadis. The nadis are the veins It's like the veins for the blood. The nadis are, the channels through which prana flows. So according to yoga, right? All the trauma that you experience in your life leaves an imprint in your body. And it's not it's not in your muscles, it's not in your bones, it's in your energy body. So all the trauma that you experience, small, big trauma, create a blockage in your nadis. And that's called samsaras. Even the conditioning of your learnings create blockages in your energy body. And samskaras, not samsaras, samskaras. So samskaras are blockages. So then, for example, if you experience pain because of, something happened and you feel pain in your heart, I'm not talking about physical pain, I'm talking about psychological, self-inflicted pain because of trauma. We have some scars around here. So then we cannot experience love anymore. And we feel, I cannot feel love. I'm disconnected or disconnected from my heart with my sexual organs. This can be like sexual activity with love. There's a disconnection here because we have some scars, which are blockages in the nadis that stop the flow of prana to those organs or to those places. Okay? So when you practice pranayama, we start purifying practices. You can purify your nadis to remove those samskaras. In breathwork, when you do breathwork, are you seeing those breathwork when people have big releases? This is just my interpretation now, based on what I learned from breathwork and what I learned from yoga. My interpretation that when people are going through a deep breathwork experience, and they're breathing intensely, and they're bringing all this prana, which is very uncontrolled because it's just prana coming in, and it's like flooding your pipes with water, a lot of water in the pipes. And then if you have a blockage, that's going to go through, and that's going to break through. And then the blockage, that energy is going to explode. And that's why people, when you do breath work, they might scream or go like, wow, or scream and cry or be loud because they are removing blockages. Are there some scars? I don't know. Don't know. I'm just interpreting based on what I know. Okay, that's just my interpretation. So pranayama is a more subtle, it's more gentle, it's more control. That's why it's safer, okay, than breath work, if done properly. So pranayama activates the chakras, right? Because you are bringing more fuel into the chakras and you are passing the energy through it. Allow the expansion of energy, mind, and consciousness. So the more prana you have, because of pranayama, you become more aware. It bring more prana, give you more access to your consciousness. Again, pranayama is not a standalone practice. You can't just say, I'm going to practice pranayama until I have a Kundalini awakening or until I become awakened, because you need a sustained asana practice, which is the physical practice. And then there's other element, the yamas and niyamas. What are they? Are the basic principles of yoga, which basically tell you be a good person, do the right thing for you, and do the right thing for others. The yamas are the principles to live in integrity with others, and the niyamas are the principles to live in integrity with yourself. Things like don't lie, don't steal, be kind to everyone, be clean, do your practice, purify your body, exercise, all these things. So if we're not following yamas, all these principles, and we're not moving the body, and you do your pranayama, you might cause more damage than good, because you're bringing prana, but your body might be unhealthy. You know what I mean? Or you might have an imbalance in your mind. Again, imagine you're bringing all this water into these pipes and you are bringing more pressure into it, and then you have PTSD and it's not regulated. It's like putting fuel into the fire. You might go cuckoo. You know what I mean? It's very important. And that's why breathwork is risky as well, because we go there, we put all this prana into it and without any protection. So we always have to have all the elements of, the physical practice, the mind practice, the meditation, the relaxation, all of those elements. So there are advanced practices with pranayama, but you need expert guidance. It's always important to do expert guidance and start with the basics. If you don't know how to breathe properly, because you breathe on your chest and you're not breathing properly, and you do pranayama, it's gonna do the wrong things for you. So you always have to make sure you have expert guidance when you do it. The ultimate purpose of pranayama is to perfect pratyahara, which is removal of the senses, and which is hold your breath. So kumbhaka, something I said before, don't worry about remembering these things, the concepts. So the ultimate purpose is to master holding your breath, to go to pratyahara, which is that emptiness, nothingness. And then you can focus and concentrate and meditate. Okay? Now, how do you know you exist? How do you know you're here? How do you know I am here talking to you? Because you can hear me, because you can see me. But if you cannot see me or hear me, you don't know I'm here. How do you know you're there sitting? Because you can feel the sofa under your butt, because you can smell your room, because of your five senses. That's how you know you're there. That's how you know you exist. It's all the information that comes from your antennas. So if I remove your antennas, you go to nothingness. You don't even know if you have a floor under your feet. It's disconnection, total disconnection. And you have to remember that your lower mind has been fed through those five senses your whole life. And those five senses are very limited. You can only see a little spectrum of the light. You can only hear a little spectrum of the wave sounds. So it's very limited. And then we fight against each other for those things. When every one of us has different antennas. And then what you see is only 10% of what the brains create. I was working with this neuroscientist and she was saying that. It's neuroscience backed, science saying when you see something, 10% is what you're seeing. The other 90% is being created by the mind based on your conditioning, your beliefs, and all the things that have happened to you. So every time you're looking at something, two people see different because you only bring 10% and the rest is based on what you believe. That's why it's so important to purify the lower mind, because all of that happened there. So you have a spiritual experience, and you are completely agnostic. You might interpret it differently as you are deeply spiritual. But again, we all have different impurities in the mind. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to purify your lower mind, because otherwise everything you do is going to it's gonna get impurities. So, and we all have it. I have it. I'm not awakened. I have a lot of impurities, and my ego will always play out. So this is very important because you have a lot of people there teaching with impure minds, claiming things, believing that they got there when it's just an illusion of the mind. So it's very important to understand this very clearly, because when you understand it, you start seeing the illusion that it goes everywhere. I see it for myself. So when something happened to me, I would say, I don't know. I don't know. I had that experience, but it could be anything. All right. So I hope this is valuable, because this is key for us to move forward in our journey, especially if you want to do more spiritual work or you want to grow into it and start exploring different things. It's very important. So where do we start? Well, learn how to breathe properly first. Very important. Understand the physiology of breathing and learn how to breathe properly, diaphragmatic breathing, and then connect with the subtle breath. Because for the door into the subtle body is your subtle breath. And it has a name. It's called Ujjayi breath. And that's a pranayama technique, which is basically a very gentle technique that allows us to feel the subtle breath, which is the prana that comes through the breath. And some of you who are yoga practitioners or yoga teachers, you know about this stuff. When you do your yoga practice, you do Ujjayi breath because you start connecting with your subtle energy, which is your prana. You start connecting with your subtle body, which is your energy body, your subtle centers, or your your subtle breath connect with the psychic breath, which is the same thing, subtle breath or psychic breath. And then you go into your psychic channels and your psychic centers, which are your chakras and your nadis and your psychic body, which is your aura and all of that stuff. So this is where you start, and this is your homework, you know? Learn how to breathe properly, practice diaphragmatic breathing, and next time you go to your yoga class, start learning about Ujjayi breath, okay? I'm running a free workshop in 2 weeks, which is all about the physiology of breathing, and you can learn how to breathe properly, okay? It's a 2-hour workshop like this for free, where we're going to learning how to breathe properly and the diaphragmatic breathing as well, okay? So you can join me for that. See this? These are the nadis in your body. I wanted to show you this stuff because the nadis, this is a very old, I have no idea which book is this coming from, but it comes from an Asian book. So I have no idea where it's come from. So I cannot give you the exact, but it is part of the records of the yogis. So the nadis go outside, see? And that's the aura. The aura is all the nadis. And so what happened? Like in your fingers, you have energy coming out through the nadis, like that, boom, to the palm. That's why Reiki energy, the energy from Reiki that comes through is prana. It's people putting prana, moving prana around. That's why we do something in yoga which are called mudras. You know what that is? Mudra, up, down. What are we doing here? We are connecting two nadis to each other to create an energy loop. So all the mudras that you do in yoga are designed to bring the energy and circulate the energy in a more powerful way. When you bring your tongue on your palate, that's your prana going in circles, going to different chakras. By the way, we have a lot of chakras, not just the one here, because every time two nadis intersect, we have chakras, okay? So that's what the mudras connect two nadis to create energy channels, that energy bypasses. It's very powerful. So quickly, we have 3 important nadis. These are the 3 more important ones: Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. So Ida is your feminine nadi, which is on the left. Start on your left. So this dominates your left side of the body. Pingala is on your right side. So the red one is Pingala, is on the right side of the body. And it's your masculine energy. Okay, so in yoga, that's what this is from the yoga science. Again, all of it is from yoga science. So when you breathe, you can actually activate one or the other by closing your nostrils. You know what I mean? So one nostril is connected to one and the other one to the other. So the right nostril is connected to Pingala Nadi, right? And it's your masculine energy. The left one is connected to Ida Nadi and it's the feminine Nadi. So when you learn these things, you can actually activate your feminine or activate your masculine. Also, the masculine nadi is associated to the sympathetic nervous system, which is your flight or fight. So if you are stressed on flight or fight, that's your masculine nadi or your pingala nadi is too active. So we can balance this by purifying the nadi. You know what I mean? Now, if you are too much in your flow and you have no action and you need more action, it's because you perhaps your feminine nadi, your ida nadi is too active. Now, remember, right nostril for your masculine, but this go like this. So you start on your right and you finish in your left. So left side of the brain is the end point of your masculine. So that's why we say left brain is logical and the right brain is creative. Now, I'm working with a neuroscientist who said that's not true. And it's like, okay, I want to become a neuroscientist now to prove that because yoga said that that's the way it is. And I trust yoga more than science, actually, because science is only catching up with yoga. You know what I mean? Everything that science is saying now, they were laughing at 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. So I trust yoga more than science because science is catching up. It's not saying the wrong things. It's just learning slowly. They're going to get there, but they're still a bit far away. And then you have your spiritual nadi, your Sushumna nadi, which is the one that creates, the channel that connects you with beyond, the awakening, right? So Sushumna nadi is blocked. And because it's blocked, we cannot have the spiritual awakening. Actually, we have some knots in that nadi, and we call them granthis. So the granthis are the knots along Sushumna. That's why you cannot have awakening. When we talk about Kundalini energy the energy is dormant here in this chakra, in your Muladhara chakra. Can you see that? The red dot there? You have your energy there. And for us to have a Kundalini awakening, the energy have to raise all along to Sushumna to get to your crown chakra, and that's the awakening. But we can't because this channel is blocked. The spiritual channel is blocked with knots. And that's why we practice pranayama, and we have other elements there to help us purify the channels, collect the energy, raise the energy, and unblock those knots. And that's Kundalini awakening. It means that you are activating your energy from your Muladhara chakra, your base chakra, and put it through your Sushumna Nadi all the way up. It's impossible now because it's blocked. And it's blocked for a reason, because we're not ready to do it, because our body is impure, because our minds are unhealthy. So as we do the purification and we do the work, we get there. Again, this is aspirational. You can practice pranayama to get there. But again, you might cook yourself in the process if your body is not healthy and your mind is unbalanced. And actually, you need to work with a guru, someone who is already there to guide you. The only person who can really help you with this is someone who's already awakened. I cannot help you with that, right? Because he's the one who's going to help you in the process, and he's going to help you deal with it when it happens. And that's why you go to India, to a place, to an ashram where people want to look after you and they're going to guide you through the process. But it's a lot of work, I don't think I'm going to get there. Am I? I don't know. Again, all of this is aspirational, and I'm just going very lightly sharing these topics because there's so much to it, okay? So these are the chakras, right? You have your root chakra, Muladhara, sacral, solar plexus, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye, crown chakra. Again, what do the chakras do? They're the batteries that contain the prana to feed certain part of the body. Your Muladhara chakra also contain your Kundalini energy, or your Prana Shakti, right? Which is also the energy of the universe. Prana Shakti, Kundalini is like the universal prana. The universal prana is there. So basically what you do, you activate your Muladhara chakra, your prana goes up and it connects with the universal chakra, Prana Shakti. And that's the awakening. And that's Kundalini awakening, right? But now you learn that you also have 5 other bodies that you need to strengthen and purify to get there. And that's all I'm going to talk about the chakras. Every chakra has a different function, and you can easily just Google them and you will read all of them, to look after different parts, like the heart chakra, your heart, of course, root chakra, or your grounding and, sexual organs and things like that. So quick review: prana, life force, your energy. Nadis is where prana flows. Chakras, the batteries that store the prana. Samskaras are the blockages that we have in the nadis. Pranayama is science of breathing that allow us to purify our energy body and bring more prana to ultimately liberate ourselves from the constriction of the mind by having an awakening. Okay? Now, pranayama is not a standalone practice. We need to do all the other things that I explained, right? Kumbhaka, concept of kumbhaka, holding your breath, is what we do to remove ourselves from our senses and go into concentration and meditation. Someone asked me once, someone said, can I just meditate and be awakened? I said, how long can you sit without feeling hungry? How long can you be sitting there without needing to go to the toilet? That's why you have to master your body and master all the other elements. Yogis might sit there for hours and days meditating to get there. So how long can you sit and before you have to move your legs because your legs are feeling tired? That's why we have to do all the practice. Bandhas, haven't spoke about bandhas yet. Bandhas are muscles that we activate. When you go to yoga, they say activate your bandhas, your Mula Bandha, your Jalandhara Bandha, and your Mula Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha. and you other banda. So we have three main bandas in the perineum or the pelvic floor, in the tummy, and in the throat. These bandas we activate to push the prana against Sushumna, up. So the bandas will grab the prana and push it up through Sushumna Nadi, through the spiritual channel, to push the prana up so we can have the awakening. So when you hold your breath, when you do kumbhaka, you should always activate your bandhas, no matter what you do. But no one talk about it because no one knows about it. So people say, breathe in, hold your breath, and you're there. Say, push your muscles. Actually, what you need to do is activate your bandhas. So this is all part of pranayama. When you go deeper into it and you understand it, the bandhas allow us to redirect the prana through different nadis. You have bandhas everywhere. So this is a bandha here. You have an energy lock here in your hands. We have bandhas everywhere. We're talking about the three main ones along the spine. So on your pelvic floor, it's not right. It's not exactly on the pelvic floor, but just for the purpose of this class and simplified, I would say pelvic floor, tummy, and throat. And that allow us to push the prana up. And by doing that, not only that, the bandhas are on top of the granthis. The granthis are the lock. So every time you activate your bandhas, it's kind of massaging your granthis that are the locks in your Sushumna Nadi, and that also, the idea is to pierce those knots. So then prana goes, and we have the awakening. Now, within Sushumna Nadi, there are three nadis, by the way. We're not going to go there. There are three main nadis within that one, but that's a different story. Mudras, energy locks with our fingers to bypass the energy. We spoke about that with the hands, with the tongue. And the granthis are the locks along Sushumna that stop us from having the awakening. So again, what's prana? I want to go something deeper here. Our individual prana is part of the cosmic prana, which is prana shakti, which is dormant in the root chakra. The cosmic prana, the prana of everything. And we have it within us, but it's asleep. It's that snake that's sleeping there, the Kundalini. It's sleep for a reason, because we're not ready for it. So we need to purify everything else until it's ready. And then cosmic prana is Kundalini, right? That's the ultimate when I learn about prana here. When Kundalini awakens, we unite with the cosmic prana. And we free ourselves from the constriction of the mind. It's very powerful. Again, this is informational knowledge, aspirational. We need to do a lot of stuff to get there. It's just for you to know this stuff. It's for you to know that you will not go to a Kundalini awakening session for 2 hours and have a Kundalini experience, because it's impossible. I don't know. I would like to learn from others. What do they do? Because from the yoga perspective, this is how it happens. I know that now people have all the methodologies and they activate your Kundalini with something, but I really don't know. I'm very ignorant on that space. This is all I can say about Kundalini from the yoga perspective. Right? I don't know what other people are doing that they can awaken your Kundalini in a 2-hour session. Because this is like real stuff. And this is dangerous stuff. It should not be in books. It should be only learned by a teacher, one-on-one. I'm working with a teacher one-on-one. I have my own teacher who's actually here. He's part of it, and he's going to speak at the end. He's going to give us a little talk to correct all the mistakes I have done in this talk. So he's looking at what I'm saying, which is good. So he's going to be at the end of the session. He's going to probably join us for 15 minutes to give a little talk and give a bit of explanation. Okay. So yeah, what's pranayama? Well, pranayama is not merely the science of breath, but the science of universal energy, universal mind, time, space, and matter. That's what pranayama actually is. You go beyond the surface. It's the science of universal energy, universal mind, time, space, and matter. It's quite profound. It's like, to me, like I've been learning this for years, and I'm still like, wow. when I read this stuff. It is a way to activate and access the universal prana, Kundalini energy, and achieve spiritual awakening. That's the ultimate purpose of pranayama. That's the ultimate purpose of everything that yogis did, was to free ourselves from the constriction of the mind. They didn't do it for power, to have better sex. They didn't do it for any of those reasons. Those are reasons of the mind, to feed our ego and feel more powerful. Ultimately, is to achieve that awakening, that is free ourselves and become one with the everything that is. That's why pranayama yoga is a spiritual practice, because it's about that, to connect with the soul and become one with God, you know? Ta-da! It's very fun. It's very, I don't know, I'm still in awe by all of this stuff. So, grantees, so we have three grantees. Don't worry about the names, But see, we have grantees there. And then on top of the grantees here, see, that's the bandhas. The bandhas squeeze here. They push the grantee and push the energy up. This bandha here in the belly push prana towards the grantee to pierce that one, and then the Jalandhara bandha push prana up to pierce that grantee. When all these three are pierced, prana will go up. Don't worry about the names. Grantees are the locks, and the bandhas are, so the grantees are the knots, and the bandhas are the energy locks that we use to push prana up. Right? So that's you there. That's your spiritual channel. That's why we always have to sit straight. When you meditate, sit straight. Because if you like that, your antenna is going to be pointing in the wrong direction. So if you really want to receive the blessings, go straight, always straight, back straight, shoulders relaxed. Pingala nadi, masculine nadi, Ida nadi, feminine nadi. And then in every intersection, we have a chakra. So that's your Shumna nadi, and that's the chakras, right? 7 main chakras all the way up in all the intersections. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Right brain, left brain. And that's your nose. Right nostril, left nostrils. Pingala nadi, that's your masculine energy, and your sympathetic nervous system, your stress response, fly or fight, is the energy of the sun. Is your active state, action, direction, passion. Ida nadi, feminine nadi, parasympathetic, relaxed states. Be relaxed, to be more connected, more in flow, energy of the moon. And then you have your samskaras, see? That's the samskaras too. They're blockages. So when you do things like nadi shadana, which is a pranayama practice, you breathe through one nostril and you exhale to the other. Into one, out to the other. What is this doing? It's purifying your nadis. Nadi shadana is the most powerful pranayama technique you can learn. Nadi is channel, shadana is purifying. So nadi shadana literally means purifying your energy channels, meaning removing those samskaras that we don't want to have in our channels, because they're blocking the energy from our heart, from our sexual organs, from our digestive system, from our brain, from our creativity. Nadi shadana is very powerful. And there are different levels and different techniques you can learn there. I'm not covering any of that today, because today is all about understanding these concepts, okay? Yeah. And then you have, what else we have? Those are the bandhas, right? The muscles that we squeeze to redirect the prana. So then we can, unlock these grantees. The X's are the grantees, right? Yeah. And that's all it is. That's the energy body system. I finished, I think. Ta-da! Yeah, what are your thoughts, comments, questions? Again, where do I start? You want to start by learning how to breathe, diaphragmatic breathing, connect with the shallow breath, learn Ujjayi breath, and that's the start. And then from there, you need to learn pranayama if you want to learn pranayama. Okay? Any questions? Any comments? Right. So now I guess it gave us a bit of understanding of these concepts. And the most important part is this is not something we take lightly. Um, you know, people went deep into studies and learning things to get this. That's why I like to go always to the origin of things. If you want to learn about chakras, go to the origin of them instead of, because now we have all this new age stuff, and the content is being diluted big time. And now everyone make up their own theories about things, because now that fact checking is, or it's not acceptable to fact check things. Anyone can come up with anything, and I'm no fan of that stuff. You know, I'm running a pranayama course soon, like a 5-week pranayama course. If you wanna learn the practice, that's starting February, and I'm gonna share with you a bit later. Okay, so there are two things coming up. One is the learning how to breathe, which is free, and then the pranayama course, which is online. And if you want to be part of that, I will talk to you about it later. Okay. There are no questions. Thank you for your comments. I hope this was right. I want to bring in I have a guest speaker who's going to speak to us for about 20 minutes. And he's my teacher. What I shared today is a mix of things I have learned through my yoga studies, but also things that I have learned from him. And I'm sure that after this class, I will learn even more. So it's going to share briefly about his view on these concepts. So his name is Sri Guru Labdawara Kusuma. He's joining us from Bali right now, from his ashram in the middle of the rice fields, nowhere. It's not something you find in the middle of the town. It's very hidden in a private space. So he's going to join us and he's going to give us his views. And this is very valuable. I think I was not expecting him to be here today. And he messaged me this morning. He said, "You're doing this class. What time do I speak?" I said, "Oh, sorry, you were not meant to speak today because I didn't think that was happening." And he said, "Okay." And I said, "Well, man, it's a great opportunity for all of us." So I spoke with him and he's going to join us. So it's very privileged. We're very privileged to have him here with us. So I was wondering, are you there, Sri Guru? If you would like to unmute yourself and put your camera on so we can see you and hear you. I'm going to stop this share. There you are. We can see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. What a pleasure and honor to have you here. And yeah, I wasn't expecting that you're going to be listening to what I was going to say.
Okay, thank you everyone. Uh, Good evening from Bali. It's very happy to meet you here. Yeah, maybe it's not long. I just would like to uh, talk about Prana a little bit, so you understand, have a little more understanding about this, because this is the important point. How is the origins of the Prana? This is related of how we are created and the universe are created. That's why it's become a very, very powerful cosmic power. And then like the science say that everything is manifest from energy. Everything that we see now, everything that exists is manifest from energy. And then the energy cannot be defined anymore. It is just less and end as energy. But in spiritual science, in yoga science, there's something that creates this energy, which is in this teaching is called Paramashiva or Nirguna Brahman. Or it is simply told as the state of nothingness of God, which is nothing. This is the highest state of God, the purest, which is nothing. And then from this nothingness, and then manifests a power, bang. The science there is bang. And then there is something. Energy is manifest from this nothing, from this dark. And then this very big power, the almighty power, then is called as the almighty power of God. So it's Sadashiva, or almighty God. When it's God, it is nothing. No man or woman, there is nothing. But from this nothingness, there manifests a power. Yeah, this is called the almighty power of God. It is the Prana itself. Very big power. So then, this big power, the first is create the five elements, which is called Pancha Mahabhuta. Pancha means five, Maha means the greatest, and then Bhuta means unconscious, material thing, which is actually unconscious thing. Then this forms the universe and all the planets. And then one of the planets is called Earth, where we are living now. When it's Earth, this is one of the five elements. Water, earth, fire, air, and then the space or ether itself. And then one of it is Earth. Earth, where we are living now. When it's Earth, is nothing. It's unconscious. It's just matter. But then something enters this Earth, which is no other than God, the power of God itself. So the prana itself. Then it make everything live. We can grow, we can surpass everything. The plants, the human being can grow, can live, it can everything can grow and made a living. And this is the cosmic power itself. It is within the earth, which is no other than God itself. The very universal cosmic power that make everything live and grow. And then with the same method we are created. The first, our body is created with these five elements. The same methods that create the planets. That's why we are very, very attached by this universe. Because we are made with the same thing. But we are made with a rather very complex system. With all the system that we have now is very, very complex. We have a five sensoric sense, we have another five motoric sense, and then one of the very unique system, then later we'll organize everything, manage and drive everything. Here, it is called a brain or mind. This is very, very essential. This is very important. And then it has a big power and authority amongst all the body to operate. But then it's still unconscious, still matters until something enters the body, which is called Atman. It is no other than God itself. Together with the prana, with the cosmic energy and conscious. Stay here. And then the prana then together made the body. The first is created by the matters, the part matters, the part unconscious thing. Then together with it, then it's joined with the body. The prana itself joined with the body and made the body. And then together with the God within, and then it stays here, which we call as a soul. That's why there's a many part of the body. One is the matter, the materials, which then create the physicals, and then the prana body, and then the mind itself is a part of the body. And then by this God within, which we are called as a soul, or Holy Spirit, or Atman, or Dhammakaya in Buddhism, or Ruh, that then make everything living. Then, because the mind has very, very big authority for the body, and it's very big, the mind, very big power, then the God within is forgotten. And then the mind itself has its own nature. Even the prana they forgot. And that actually give a power to everything living, which is the essential energy. So then the mind itself has a nature, like selfishness, anger, greed. That's the nature of mind. And then to operate all this, then they have a 510. The sensory sense, who their job is report to the mind. And then another 510, their job is to operate the body, like the hands, the legs, and the mouth, and other things. And then, because that's the nature of the mind, then the mind only wants this satisfying report from the sensory sense, like the ear. For example, like when the mind has a report like you are beautiful, you are great, you are intelligent, you are wonderful, and then the mind will be satisfied. But one times when the ear reports something like you are ugly, you're stupid, uh, you are disgusting, and then the mind not gonna accept this report, and then it will react. It could be told the hand to its mess or leg to kick, and then when it happened, the stress happening, a million of cells drop, the suffering happens. And then one thing that can help to sort out this problem is this cosmic energy, which is called prana. By certain techniques, we can awaken the prana. By awakening the cosmic power within with certain technique or method, then the prana can direct us to the supreme consciousness through the God within us, the soul here. And then this is called awakening. This is called enlightenment. When we can connect our mind to the soul through the prana system. And then what we need to understand here about the nature of soul, the God within, or the Holy Spirit here is peace, and then the gratitude, generosity, compassion, love, all are here. And then by awakening this, by certain techniques that Mr. Krishnan already explained, and you practice that, this can be awakened. And this can then connect the mind to the supreme consciousness or the soul or the God within. And then this can balance all the problems that we have. From unpeace become peace. From selfishness become generous. And then this is the modality for mental and body and spiritual health. But there's a little bit of warning. When this very, very big power, the cosmic power, is awakened, and then most of the time it could be dangerous also. Because this divine power, when it's awakened, it only can be utilized in our life when it reaches the mind. And then how the problem can manifest is because, like I explained already, the nature of mind. When the mind is not purified enough, and then the mind will manipulate with this divine power to satisfy its nature, for greediness, for selfishness, for anger. And then this is the dangerous part. That's why on the practice we need a kind of like a guru or somebody who is very, very experienced in this. Because the mind is purification. It also needs another method to purify and a blessing to purify the mind all the time. So once this divine energy rises by practice, and then it reaches the mind is ready. And then when it's ready, and then the flow of the energy will be go this way up. When it's not ready, and then the mind manipulates it, and then the energy goes down. For greediness, for selfishness, for anger. And then for this, then for enlightenment. This is called Buddha, and then this is called Buddha. Buddha means unconscious, like I said, the five elements. Instead of leading to enlightenment, it will lead to darkness. It can manifest because it is coming from the divine power. But all this effort will be useless later when we then at the end where that all this power leads to the suffering. All this big effort and become useless. But with purification, with a gradual purification, and then the mind ready, and then it goes up. This brings to happiness. So the prana is the key to connect the mind to the God within us, or the Holy Spirit. Because only Holy Spirit can help us from the sickness, from the darkness to enlightenment. Is the mental and physical health, spiritual growth. So, and there's no other way we can do except this. Because the mind is only can be balanced by the Holy Spirit. And then by this certain process of pranayama, then the 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 gross body will be purified, and then the pranic also will awaken and then purified. And then by this, then the mind will develop from the lowest level of mind, which is called as manas, with its natures, the greediness, selfishness, angers, and all other things. And then when it improves by the pranayama practice, then it's gonna grow. to the highest level of mind, which is called as a wisdom, a wisdom. And then all the health will be improved also together with it. So that's the important message. Maybe I can say to you before you process, continue process, to get your uh, benefit in your life.
Thank you so much for being here, for sharing this very important message.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's very good reminder. You know what you say about if we awaken,
yeah,
Kundalini, or we awaken this energy and the mind is not purified, we're going to use it for the wrong purposes to satisfy the needs of the mind. And this is very important, especially these days where these
yeah,
concepts are being used and overused and misused. And they're, these content, anyone can access some of this stuff by books. And it's like, we need a teacher. Well, I always say that to people, you need someone who's going to tell you when you have the illusion of the ego. And it's very important because the ego is very smart and it's very, find very strategic to find ways to stay in that illusion. So thank you for that reminder because it's very important. The need of what you said, some guidance during the process. Thank you so much. What an honor to have you here.
Oh,
For
no,
joining
I
us.
am very happy to meet you all. Then please continue your process and learning, and then I wish you for success.
Thank you so much. We'll
Afterwards,
see you soon.
yeah, yes, you think. Oh no, it's all right.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I guess that was a very, in general, like overall, very complete session, I guess. It's very rare that we get to listen to this type of knowledge in that way and having. So Sri Guru, he's a spiritual master. He's a spiritual master who have awakened actually and have mastered these practices. And I have been working with him for a couple of years now for my own practice. And it has brought massive transformation into my life. So I was not expecting to have this conversation with all of you, but yeah, it was amazing to have you here. So before we finish, everyone, I just want to share a few things with you that are coming up. If you have any questions, any comments, please put them there. If you want to connect with Sri Guru, you can connect with me. I coordinate the students and I run actually. I'm just answering a question here that someone's asking. We have a private study group with Sri Guru, and I coordinate the studies with him. And we organize. This is separate. This is nothing to do with my normal practices. This is my private practice, and we we can study with him in as a group format. So if you're interested to learn more about him and what he does and what we do, message me privately and I can share information with you. Okay? Because we do a different practice, which is very profound. Okay. Um, so before I finish, I want to, what is it? I want to share with you what's coming up. So I assume there are no questions. I will send you an email after this with the recording and some of the information that I'm going to share now in terms of what's coming up. So in 2 weeks, I have another free workshop called The Physiology of Breathing, Learning How to Breathe Properly. So if you want to learn how to breathe, join me for that. It's a very powerful one because that's the foundation. Nothing of this would work if you don't know how to breathe. You might be creating stress in your life just by the way you breathe. Breathing is the foundation of everything. And then I have this course coming up. It's a 5-week online program. It's called Pranayama for well-being and spiritual growth. Some of you have done it already. So if you want to actually learn some pranayama practices and and start this path, this is something you can join. I will send you the information. And then every Sunday, I run breathwork journeys in Yandina. I'm in Sydney at the moment, but I'll be back the first week of February. And then I have a Bali retreat coming up in October. And if you come to this retreat, we go to the ashram and we meet Sri Guru face to face. He does a blessing for us. We do a session with him for a day. So that's part of that as well. If you want to find out more, it's a QR code there, or you can message me and I can share more information with you. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope um, this was valuable. And if you want to support me and support my work, please share about what we do with others. Yeah. So thank you so much. Please stay in touch. Message me, send me your feedback by email. I will email you with more information. And thank you for being here. Really appreciate everyone, your time. And I will see you soon.